up, y'all? It's episode 21 of Two Jersey Kids. I am one of your esteemed hosts, Adam Buckingham, alongside the best stick handler in the business, my main man, Gary Seisel. How you doing today?
Swell. I'm actually really excited to be here right now. I'm interacting on Twitter with all of our great fans, and it's just feeling a different type of vibe going on in this episode here. I'm very hyped. Very hyped.
Me too. It is episode 21 of Two Jersey Kids. If you didn't know, we have 2 episodes each week. Tuesday episode is our shorter episode, breaking down the summary of all the games coming out this week. And then we let you know what our genius picks for that week, what you should look into, what games you should play. And then this episode is the one where we talk about all the news. I think there's something that came out in between this podcast and the last one, I think, Gary. But before we get into that, let me remind you can follow us on Twitter at Two Jersey Kids. And if you are a new listener, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're a continued listener, if you like the podcast so much, please share it with your friends on Twitter. And also, go rate us on iTunes. Like Allison Lodato, our big fan out there, who decided to, put us on blast on Twitter, even though I love her. She tweeted at us, "My favorite part of any Two Jersey Kids episode is just listening to the guys attempt to pronounce ... basically anything."
She's clearly speaking about Adam and not myself.
Fuck you, Gary. And also, Allison, if you do us a favor, if you're on the podcast app, put that into the review. I don't care. Give us 5 stars and put that into the review. I'm a fan of that. But before we get started, just to indict you into the club, Allison, because you're such a Two Jersey Kids fan, I just want to say, fuck you for putting me on blast, because I know it was me. Well, she said any of the guys, but I know it's me. I take it to heart. Just kidding. We love you. Gary, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I have been working a lot, so I haven't had a chance to really get into the gaming so much. So I've been just kind of sticking to the bread and butter, which is Battlefield 1. Nice. and also NHL 17. It's been a little more frustrating than usual lately. I've been getting screwed over a lot. It's kind of in tune with our experiences we've had in the past. But Battlefield 1, I basically abandoned Destiny. It's been like about 2 or it's basically been about 2 or 3 weeks since I've actually played that game, and I really have no intention of going back because Battlefield 1 is kind of just way better. Way better. What have you been up to, sir?
What have I been up to? More Final Fantasy 15, of course. Just going around. I'm still on Chapter 3. No, wait. I just finally beat Chapter 3. I don't know. I've just been running around doing a bunch of side quests, hunting different monsters. I've been really enjoying my time. Scratching that itch. What else can I say? I've been saying it for weeks now. But what got me hooked on it was our review of Final Fantasy 15 from the beautiful woman out there, Allison Lodato, who came on the show and spoke so eloquently because she never mispronounces any words. But I'm excited. I'm just excited because watching. You know what? Before we get into it, Gary, you wanted to indict us with a new segment you were cooking up. What you were planning on? Do it. Sorry.
All right. Well, first of all, I think indict is the wrong word for this situation. But anyway, we're going to get into this little thing. I want to kind of get into the swing of this every week. It's going to be This Day in Gaming History, courtesy of MobyGames.com. They actually have basically a list of things that happened on this date, January 20th, because it's Friday and not Wednesday when we're recording. So anyway,
good job, Gary. You finally got that down. You finally got the time warp down.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, back in January 20th, 2000, NFL 2K, the Dreamcast version, was released. Now, as we all know, NFL 2K games were tremendous. NFL 2K5 was regarded as one of the most, maybe one of the best, if not the best, football games. Adam, I see you
Let me be clear. NFL 2K games were not the best, all right? I've played them before. Let's be real. Madden was better. It's all this revisionist history bullshit that's going on with NFL 2K games. My ass, they were good. Get off the high horse. Fuck those games. Move on.
On the contrary, I actually thought that NFL 2K5 was a great. It actually had Terrell Owens on the cover when he was an Eagle.
That's the main reason why people hold NFL 2K games in such high regard is because the last entry in their series was pretty decent and competed with Madden. But where the fuck are they now? I know Madden bought the license and everything, but fuck that.
See, part of the problem with that, though, is the fact that when 2K games, especially in the NHL series as well, when 2K went out of business and stopped creating sports games, EA Sports no longer had competition, didn't have to actually make a worthwhile sports game, which is a problem, a huge problem.
That's a valid point. You see now what's happening with, well, actually, it didn't really step up their game with the NBA games. They sort of shat the bed hard and lost and have never recovered ever since.
Indeed. But moving on this date, January 20th, and I think it was, of course, I didn't put the damn dates here, the years, but anyway, I think it's January 20, I think it was 2012 or 2013, Mass Effect 2, the PS3 version was released. Now, to most people, I mean, if you're an Xbox owner, this really isn't a big deal. But for me, I had a PlayStation 3 back in the day. I actually sold off my Xbox 360 because it never really worked properly ever. So this is a big deal for me. I always wanted to play the Mass Effect games. I remember I used to have a subscription to the Xbox magazine back in the day, and it was always a game that I really wanted to get into. So finally, I was able to play it, and I have to say I'm a better person for it, if I may. Adam?
2011.
It was 2011, folks. 2011. I was wrong. I was off by
my input.
A year, even 2 years.
I never had to deal with like the aching waiting for Mass Effect to come to the PS3 because I was lucky enough to have a 360 and it came out originally for the 360. But I can imagine the frustration for everyone that owned a Sony console at that time, hearing the great things about Mass Effect, the original one, and Mass Effect 2. It was probably heart-wrenching, to say the least.
The thing, if I remember correctly, Mass Effect 2, oh yeah, I remember now. The Mass Effect 2 that came to the PS3 had that like comic book thing. It basically filled in the story for the first game. But, it was kind of funny because, like, I don't know, a year later they came out with the original Mass Effect on the PS3. So I was able to play through that as well, which was great, to get a full experience of the Mass Effect series. So great games. But that is it for this day in gaming history. So we'll be doing this every week. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I enjoy the history of gaming. So moving on.
Maybe if it becomes a little dull about the certain day, maybe you can just do this week in gaming history,
Yeah.
Broaden it out.
Well,
so
what's really unfortunate.
With, like, few things. What?
What's really unfortunate is that last week I was supposed to do this, and it would have been great because on that particular day, which was Friday, obviously, IGN was created. Kind of unfortunate that I didn't do it sooner, but
you
whatever.
Done fucked up, Gary.
Whatever.
You shat the bed as usual.
Live and learn.
This is why everyone, this is why I am here. Even though I mispronounce all the words in the world, I am here because I never let you down.
Oh.
I am the Rock. Sorry.
Yeah, he's trying to make you believe that, folks.
But Gary, did you know what happened over the past week? What was announced? What the big news is? Or were you living under a rock?
I don't know, Adam. Why don't you tell us?
The Nintendo Switch was finally revealed at a Nintendo Tokyo press conference thingamajig. And we have all the information here that we'll go through. Originally, starting off, is Cam Gattenberg over at The Verge, who compiled the 5 biggest, it's very subjective, 5 biggest announcements from Tokyo, the Nintendo Switch event. Starting off, the Nintendo Switch is coming March 3rd. Yes, you heard it. It is coming that soon in March. March 3rd. It's kind of weird having a console release then, but we'll get into that. First things first, the Nintendo Switch will be released internationally on March 3rd for $299.99. Of course. The Switch will be available in 2 versions, either a console with all gray Joy-Con controllers or one with a neon red and neon blue Joy-Con set. Started off, that is weird. I want the same color across the board. But that's just my little input. As for accessories, the more traditional Pro Controller will cost $69.99, while each Joy-Con pairs will run $79.99 each, with individual Joy-Con costing $49.99. Each Joy-Con controller, whether purchased individually or paired, also includes a wrist strap attachment. Extra Joy-Con charging grip controllers will run $29.99 with the ability to recharge the Joy-Con controllers Replacement Switch docks will be $89.99, and a Wii-esque wheel accessory will run $49.99 for a set of 2. Alongside the Switch, Nintendo has announced several launch titles for March 3rd, headlined by the highly anticipated Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and minigame collection 1-2 Switch. Now, let's just stop it right there. Gary, what do you feel about the price set for the Nintendo Switch, at the $299.99?
Well, from what I hear, it's kind of deceiving. I believe there was some sort of confusion about, like, they weren't including, I think it was a controller, some sort of controllers with the actual, or no, I know what it is now. I couldn't remember, and it was kind of embarrassing. But with the Nintendo Switch, apparently you weren't able to charge your controllers. I think you had to charge them while they're on the stand while you're not playing, which is obviously really shitty.
Yeah, it seems like the only way you can charge them is if you have them on the dock, the stand, and you're playing with, like, I guess, a Pro Controller separately.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Apparently you have to buy that separately. So the reason why... This is all part of the marketing scheme here.
Everyone stop, listen to the marketer speak, because he is one.
That is true. Well, I think I am. But no, but that's the thing. They're pricing this at $299.99, but is it really that cheap? Not really, because there's things that they are leaving out on purpose that you have to buy additionally. So you're really still spending around like $350+ to buy this console.
I just feel they didn't explain it. I don't know. It didn't explain it. It didn't have it doesn't have the feel that it just works. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Where
I know.
You
yeah.
Open up. You have a console, and everything just works properly. You don't have to go through these hoops to figure out what works and what doesn't. But now, moving on to the accessories, is that me or is that insane that a pair of Joy-Con controllers cost basically $80? That seems very pricey. And I guess they probably have extra motion inside these little tiny controllers, but I don't understand how they're that expensive. And also, let me point out, I don't ever plan on, when I probably will get the Switch, because I don't know, maybe I'll get it. I don't ever plan on playing one individual Joy-Con controller sideways. I don't know, that just looks very uncomfortable, and I feel like I'll get the claw hand from just playing like that.
Seriously, the thing is like the size of like a fun-sized Snickers bar. But no, I mean, honestly, I was going to say this before while you were like reading it, but I didn't want to cut you off. But if I had a wrist strap attachment on like my normal controllers outside of Sony, I probably would have broken a lot less controllers.
Probably true. And also, I think it kind of shows that the dock is not really that important, per se. It's just used to project the image on the screen because it's only, individually $90? So most of the pricing is actually in the tablet itself. But we'll move on to get into the specs of the console. I don't know why I said it like that. Nintendo has finally answered some of the biggest outstanding questions about the Switch hardware. The screen was confirmed to be a 6.2-inch 1280 by 720 resolution display with up to 1080p output available on a TV set when docked. When used in handheld mode, the Switch gets between 3 and 6 hours of battery life on a charge, depending on demands of the games being played, but can easily recharge on the go through a USB-C port. The Switch has a 32GB of internal storage, which can be further expanded with micro SD cards. And in a first for a Nintendo home console, the Switch won't be region locked, meaning that games from anywhere in the world will work on your device. That's kind of cool. But, I mean, the 3 to 6 hours really throws me off. That seems, especially on the low end, I guess 6 hours would be if you're playing like an old NES or SNES game. But the 3 hours battery life for like Breath of the Wild, that seems very, I don't know, just not a lot of time. You have to have a small, short plane ride without charging, because I know some of the planes I ride on don't have any of the charging, stations. That's
the thing. It's I guess like they're obviously like trying to be like, progressive here in how they're making this console. Like you can take it on the go, and I know I've read somewhere like, oh, this is going to change the game, but at the same time, is the technology really ready here to have a console that's portable like this? Like 3 to 6 hours of battery life, obviously, like you said, isn't that much. So I don't know if it's really like, is it really worth it? I mean, I don't know. It's just me personally.
It seems with the failure of the Wii U, I'm getting the feeling that they just wanted to push it out with something. Zelda was going to be released this March, so they wanted the Switch to be released with that game instead of waiting for the tech to finally catch up, maybe waiting a year or to this fall. Maybe that'll give them enough time to somehow increase that battery life. Now, I'm curious if there's going to be any third-party support for the hardware itself. Maybe have like a battery case where you can charge it easily, extends the life of the Nintendo Switch as you're on the go. And I wonder if that would be like just a generic thing that you always have, like with iPads and the magnetic cover. How that just seems like now that's the generic thing that people have.
I feel like it'd be smart by Nintendo to have that. Because, I mean, I just don't know. I don't know what they're really trying to accomplish here with the Switch. Like, they're obviously trying to create like this thing where you can just take it on the go. Like, whatever you're doing, you can be gaming. That's essentially, I guess, what they're trying to push across. But like, I just don't know. There's so many different things going on with this console. I just don't know if it's going to work or not. Personally, but
moving on, more Joy-Con features have been revealed. Nintendo also showed off some new features for the modular Joy-Con controller. The mysterious square button on the left Joy-Con was announced to be a capture button for quickly recording gameplay screenshots and eventually video clips at some point farther down the line. Additionally, each Joy-Con controller will have full motion control functionality similar to the Wii Remote. Yay, we can't get rid of the motion controls! For motion gameplay, along with advanced haptic feedback that Nintendo is calling, quote, HD Rumble, end quote, for even more immersive gameplay. When using the Joy-Con controllers undocked, either for cooperative play or motion gaming, Nintendo is including a wrist strap attachment that can be clipped onto the inside of the controller halves to help prevent flinging them into your TV or nearby friends, which I may do out of frustration. Additionally, Nintendo revealed that the Switch-facing side of each Joy-Con controller's contains shoulder buttons, allowing each Joy-Con half to be used as a full controller. The wrist strap attachment has the added benefit of making those shoulder buttons somewhat larger and easier to press. Furthermore, the right Joy-Con controller contains an IR camera that Nintendo claims to be able to identify the shape and locations of objects. For example, the Joy-Con can distinguish between a hand-throwing rock, paper, scissors motion, as well as determine how far away it is from the controller. And, as noted earlier, the Joy-Con will come in Neo Blue and Neon Red. Neon Blue and Neon Red. I can hear Allison's voice in my head saying, "You fucked up!" Neon Blue and Neon Red colors at launch, in addition to the previously seen gray. Maybe they have the idea that, instead of people buying the Pro Controller to play while it's docked, maybe they'll dock and have one Joy-Con controller there, and you play with the little itty-bitty one on the screen. I don't know how that's going to work, especially with like 3D games. I don't see an additional analog stick on that controller to move the camera. I don't know how that is actually going to work. I guess Nintendo, they are very good at developing games, so maybe they'll consider that into the development cycle.
Yeah, it might be a little awkward. I mean, just to keep it short, but I don't know. I'm so negative on Nintendo. I'm sorry, guys, but I just...
Yeah, you are. I'm more of a moderate. I'll see what I see.
It's not that I'm negative towards the brand, but just there's some things that just kind of confuse me. I don't know with what the direction they're taking their company. But you can move on into the games, which I have more to say about.
Games! That's the title of the next section of it. It wouldn't be Nintendo console without some new games, and Nintendo came prepared with a wealth of new games for the Switch. Wealth is a very loose term. Yeah. That is me saying that. Leading the charge is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which will be a flagship launch title for the new console. But Nintendo has also showed off a new Mario game, Super Mario Odyssey, an open-world sandbox game that looks to be a successor to the classic Super Mario 64 and adds real-world locations and an anthropomorphic, boom! I fucking said it! Hat to the series when it releases for the holiday season later this year. Take that! Nintendo has also announced 2 new titles, 1-2 Switch. This is Adam speaking. I'm not a fan of that title, to be honest. But continuing, a party game collection that will be available at launch that showcases the Joy-Con's wide range of features, and ARMS, a motion-controlled boxing game. Additionally, a sequel to Nintendo's colorful shooter Splatoon 2, was announced for the summer, which adds new levels and weapons to mix. Nintendo also showed off several new RPGs for the Switch, including Xenoblade Chronicles 2, 4 Dragon Quest games, a new entry in the Shin Megami Tensei series, Project Octopath Traveler, that's a name, alright, from Square Enix. Also announced at the presentation was Fire Emblem Warriors from Koei Tecmo, who had previously developed Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U. Several other Switch titles also made brief appearances at the Tokyo event, including announcement that EA's FIFA games would be returning to Nintendo's consoles after a 4-year absence. Along with Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, NBA 2K18, Minecraft, Steep, Rhyme, Sega's upcoming Project Sonic 2017, and an upgraded version of Mario Kart 8 titled Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Nintendo also noted that over 50 companies have expressed interest in creating games for the Switch, with over 80 games already in development.
Yeah, by the way, this launch lineup is pretty weak. Can I just say that?
That's your opinion. Come on, let's be real, though. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild looks amazing.
That's great, but that's one game. This is an article published on January 17th on GameSpot. But right here, there's 5 games. 5. 1-2 Switch, Just Dance 2017, big seller. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Skylanders Imaginators, and Super Bomberman R. That's the launch lineup right now as it stands. This console is being released in March. We have 5 launch titles, and none of these games are. Well, okay, one of these games apparently is pretty hyped right now, but other than that, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I had an interaction with a kid on Twitter about the conference because he seemed pretty hyped for The Legend of Zelda because he retweeted something about the map size for Breath of the Wild. It had that Breath of the Wild is roughly 360 square kilometers, the map, which, for reference, Skyrim was 41.42 or 44 square kilometers. So it's a lot larger than Skyrim, but, It is a newer game. But I asked him how he feel about the Switch conference after all the new info after the fact. I liked it, nothing groundbreaking, but looking like a lot of fun. I continued asking, because since it's related to games, and I'm kind of worried about the third-party support, because, to be honest, the fact that Elder Scrolls Skyrim 5 is not the remastered version, it's the original Skyrim, it seems like, is coming to the game, and old games like Minecraft. I think I heard that FIFA was going to be a last-gen version of FIFA, from what I've been hearing. I'm kind of a little worried. I wanted to get his opinion. So I asked, are you worried at all that it seems like they are ignoring third-party games again? We know that didn't work for the Wii U, because it proved with sales that even just a straight Nintendo first-party console is not going to sell well, and their fan base is slowly dwindling, even though I want to believe in Nintendo because I love their games. He said, also, for me personally, I'm probably going to get any third-party games on PS4 if it's available. So, that happened with the Wii U and didn't work. And I continue saying that's what I'm worried about since Nintendo first-party games didn't sell the Wii U to people, but maybe that was just poor marketing. Yeah, I would hope they have learned from the Wii U, but we will have to see.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I think that the moral of the story here is just like any other console.
Sorry, that was at... Sorry. I'm screwing up here. That was at space_man_spiff. Thank you, man.
But like I said, it's exactly what you said. Wait and see. I think that like any other console out there, you got to wait and see how this console is actually going to do either within like a year. I would wait on it personally because I just I'm not convinced with what's going on here. It's like you said, or like I said, the launch lineup is weak, and then on top of that, the games that are coming out to the console, it's not anything new. Like Elder Scrolls V, that came out in 2011. And for the record, I think I just graduated high school at that point.
So you're not excited for the fact that day one it's going to be Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Then in April it'll be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I like Mario Kart games. It's going to probably be an amazing game, but I mean it's a rehash of a Wii U game with additional stuff. Then I think in May will be Splatoon, and I'm not sure where it goes from there.
Well, no, frankly, I mean, I don't have anything against the Super Mario games or the Legend of Zelda games. They're great games, but it's not enough to make me buy the console. I think that unfortunately, I think Nintendo I understand that that's your flagship title, but they don't. The problem I have with Nintendo consoles, in my personal opinion, is that they don't have like enough titles. Like it's just they rely too heavily on the Mario games, the Zelda games to give them profit essentially. But that's just me personally. Good sir. Are you in a deep conversation right now?
Yeah, I'm in a deep conversation. I don't know. I mean, that Super Mario game kind of seemed pretty cool. Not gonna lie, it's been a while since you've had an actual successor to Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine, a straight 3D game. I'm not sure if what they showed is just going to be just a different world that you can go in, or if that's going to be the hub world itself, New Donk City. I don't know. Nintendo always makes great games. However, it showed that the games on their own consoles were not enough. However, like I've also been stating, is that now this is a hybrid console. Maybe their focus from their 3DS games, their on-the-go mobile, no, not mobile, but handheld games, can now be focused and put onto the Nintendo Switch with updated hardware, get the most out of it. Now you have more of Nintendo focusing on it, so maybe there'll be more games firing at it. Because it's stated that there's 80 games in development, and if there's not that many third parties, then I guess a lot is Nintendo working on it. Who knows? But for the last one that they written in this article, it's a little biased with the start of it. Not biased, but you can tell he has an opinion on it, but I'm just going to read it anyway. It's a sad day in the gaming world as Nintendo announced that online service for the Switch will require a monthly fee starting in fall 2017. According to Nintendo, President Tatsumi Kimishima, quote, users will be able to try out Nintendo Switch online services for free during a trial period after launch, end quote. After which the Switch will transition to a paid system for online service. While it's a little disheartening to see the last free online multiplayer system go, it could be a sign that Nintendo is finally ready to take the internet services more seriously with the Switch. To me, it's finally fucking about time that they finally considered that online is actually an important thing, whether it's not just playing with people online, because honestly, I could care less. But I do enjoy talking with people online or having an achievement system, knowing what I did, and also having something like the PS Plus, which it seems like they are going to do something like that. It seems like their online service is just like kind of like PlayStation Plus or the Microsoft's Games with Gold, except the monthly game that's coming is going to be a classic NES or SNES game. The unfortunate thing is, you only get that game for that month, which is kind of frustrating because it's kind of cool because Nintendo has such a vast library of old games. It'd be really amazing that they just kept giving you one game every single month and you just started expanding your library of old games that, frankly, some Nintendo fans haven't played before. Especially new, younger generation. Maybe they would want to give it a crack at it. Nintendo has such a vast library that why not let people keep these games for as long as they have the service or subscribe to the service. I just feel like that's an obvious thing to me, but still, it's kind of cool that they're releasing these old games that I personally haven't played, which kind of excites me.
Yeah, getting back to the online subscription, I think it's proven by the PS3 that a free online really isn't the best way to go. It tends to be kind of shoddy, not as great as a paid subscription. So I think of all things from this article that I'm looking at, I think that Nintendo actually got this right in actually having a paid online service. So, just me.
Just
Again,
you?
always
Just
my
you.
opinion.
But
You know,
more additional information not in that article was provided by Polygon's Allegra Frank when she summarized a lot of things. For example, there's a multi-touch screen for the Nintendo Switch. Has a touchscreen. Although it can do more than Wii U and 3DS touchscreens could. This one's multi-capacitive. Think your smartphone screens, basically. Which is kind of cool if it's actually more reactive to your touch than, classic, like, Wii U touch or 3DS touch or, like, I don't want to say crappier hardware, but less expensive hardware, like, say, Kindle, where the screen is not very responsive compared to like your iPhone or iPad. I think this was also information that was shared previously, but it states that games run at a lower resolution when undocked. So for specific reasons or specific information, Switch is capable of outputting a 720p when undocked, but when docked it'll be 1080p. And also we mentioned the region lock itself. But Gary, you put something in here that you were interested by from a Wired article. You read it. You be the man and read it.
So we kind of brushed on this already, and like I said, I've been kind of skeptical of how well that this console is going to do, and really the direction that Nintendo's going. So I found an article written by, well, I don't have a link to the article, folks, but I promise you, I will find it at some point. But anyway, so I got it. Wired.com. God, this is terrible. But anyway, the title of the article is Nintendo Switch ain't for the mom and pop. It's for diehard fans. So basically, I got a quote from the article, and it says, just prior to the event, Nintendo unveiled the games that we'll see on the Switch through the end of 2017 and beyond. What most stood out about this big reveal was that it was actually small. Just 5 games will be released at launch, and only around 30 titles are confirmed for release this year. With a general scarcity of software and Nintendo's resources at a premium, the lineup on which Nintendo is narrowing its focus is quite fascinating, perhaps even peculiar. So it's just like I said before. I thought the launch lineup, which is extremely important, obviously, because this is a gaming console and they need games. I just feel like it's such a turnoff to a lot of people. And the question I have right beneath this that I wrote out is, will people switch to the Switch? So,
I see what you did there.
Knowing the fact that the lineup is so weak and so weak, where are you, is that really going to be enough to bring people to Nintendo?
That's what
I really don't know.
That's why I'm having the feeling that it feels like they rushed this out. However, maybe down the line, I plan on waiting a little bit. I do think I will get a Switch at some point. But for right now, it's a wait and see. I really want Nintendo to succeed because that just adds better games and better competition in the marketplace. Healthy Nintendo, as what I've heard from a lot of people. Healthy Nintendo is a healthy video game industry. And I don't know. I want this to succeed so badly. I could imagine me playing the Nintendo Switch games on on a plane flight. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll finally release around fall Black Friday. Maybe they'll finally actually release a Switch with a bundle in game, which I was they dropped the ball with that aspect of it. I feel like they could have eaten the cost of one game and released it at least one smaller game Snipper Clips, which I heard is actually pretty cool, pretty fun. But they could have bundled that in with the Switch. What do you have, Gary?
So I've always felt especially with Nintendo Wii, I don't know if you feel the same. You can give your opinion, of course, but
I always will, Gary.
I just feel like Nintendo has gotten into this gimmicky type of thing.
Yep.
Nintendo Switch is cool, okay? But that's what Nintendo Wii was. It was cool. It was something that you bought because it has this crazy motion control. You can stand up and you can move around and you can play games. And now it's the same damn thing. It's you can undock your game and you can play Skyrim on a plane flight for 3 hours. It's that's really cool and all, but is it really something that a hardcore gamer, a real gamer is actually going to play? I don't know. That's the problem. And it's the problem I always have with Nintendo now is not only do they have a weak lineup of games, they don't have like the Skyrim titles. They don't have like the Mass Effect titles on their consoles ever. It's just my problem I have. It's like it's always a gimmicky approach, and I never buy into it ever.
And when they do finally get the games on their console, it is years later after the fact. I remember they had like the Batman Arkham games on Wii U, but it was years after it was already released on the PlayStation, Xbox consoles at the time. I don't know. I wanted to succeed. There was so much hype going into this conference, and it feels like some people that are excited, I feel like they would have been excited no matter what. They've probably already bought the Wii U before they had bought the Wii U. They're owners of the Wii U, so they're excited for the Switch. Even though, to be honest, I feel like the Wii U owners are kind of getting a little shafted with the fact that it seems like they haven't really released that many Wii U games in a while in like preparation for the Switch. They've been dicking them around with the Zelda game that was promised on the Wii U, now coming to both consoles. So I really want it to succeed. I'm going to wait. Maybe there'll be a premium edition. Maybe there'll be a bundle to get it. Maybe there'll be, at around the time when I finally get it, maybe there'll be third-party accessories that won't cost an arm and a leg to get to attach to the Switch. Like, one thing I actually thought of, I had thought and I wanted to mention here, is that I'm kind of upset that, not upset, but it just feels weird that the Switch itself doesn't seem like it's very doesn't seem like it's very easily ported, like carrying it around. It seems like it could get damaged easily. Where the 3DS, you had the clamshell case where it felt like it was safe and secure, where this feels more like it looks like an iPad or like basically a Vita, and it's a lot more difficult to carry around the Vita because you're worried about the screen getting damaged, and I don't know, the portability just doesn't seem as accessible as like a 3DS or prior Nintendo handheld, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think that overall, I think in order for Nintendo Switch to actually be successful, a lot of things have to go right. Like they really, at this point, it's like we said before, it's kind of like a make or break right now for Nintendo, and I just feel like they need like these features to work well. They need the console to they need everything to kind of just come together and work well. They need their online service to be functional, not hacked and down for days. Shout out to PS4
Sony!
and PS3.
PSN! Gotta love it.
But they just need a lot of things to go right, and I just don't know. I don't really think that's going to happen personally. I just think that it's just they're trying to do too much right now, especially because the technology really just isn't there, I think, for a lot of things they're trying to do. So we'll see. I'm not hoping they fail. I'm not like that against Nintendo. I just I'm skeptical of it.
One question before we move on to other news, because we've been on this topic for a long time now. What does Nintendo actually, with the Switch, have to do to prove you wrong or get you to actually move on? Because I know you hypothesized that question, but what would make that? What would have that turning point for you in your brain, saying, you know what, I need the Switch now. I was stupid, and I am Gary Seisel, and I am fucking dumb.
I honestly, they have to start focusing on the gamers. Like, I understand that they're bringing in more games now. Like, they're bringing in the Skyrim and whatever else, but like they got to start focusing on the actual like hardcore gamers. That's what I would fit. I think that's what I would fit into, is sort of a hardcore gamer. I'm really into playing video games, and I think that they just don't focus on that group of people enough. Like with the Nintendo Wii. They were all about like that family type of thing. You can play with your family, your friends. That's not what I'm about. Like I don't want to play, tennis with my father. That's no, that's not what I'm into. And for me, Nintendo Switch, like I would like to see real games come to that console. Not like I understand Mario. Yeah, I understand Mario, Zelda. Great, that's fantastic. We've heard it all before. It's been 20 goddamn years we've heard about these games. That's fantastic. But I want to see like more real games, like you said, instead of like these like tennis and bowling. I want to see legit games come to the console. That's what would bring me over. Like when they have like their own exclusive titles that are really just like fantastic, like a Halo or I guess previously a Mass Effect for Xbox. That's just me.
Yeah, I feel like when you mentioned with the gimmicks and everything with the motion control and now the tablet for Wii U, I just think they got misguided with what happened with the Wii. I feel like that was just like a microcosm of just being at the right place at the right time with the Wii and the motion controls, getting to that family atmosphere, the core gamers, which I don't think Nintendo can appeal to any. I don't know. I just don't think they'll get to them anymore. And I feel like they've been trying to get back with that, with all their gimmicky stuff with the Wii U, and now with still having the motion controls in the Joy-Con controllers instead of just making them without motion controls, and so that they're cheaper.
Yep.
Make the fucking console cheaper too.
I just think they're trying too hard. They just try to do too much.
They're trying to capture what they had.
Yep. By the way, just before we move on into the next topic, I wanted to say that Chris Kohler was the author of the article that I found on Wired.com. I wanted to mention that because I felt bad.
Good job. Good job. You can't be me. Moving on to other things besides Nintendo Switch, because things happened prior instead of Nintendo Switch. I know that's on everyone's mind right now, but other things did happen. Valve is still working on single-player games and those Half-Life and Portal movies. Michael McWhorter over at Polygon states, Gabe Newell took part in a Reddit Ask Me Anything event today, during which the knife enthusiast Valve co-founder dropped some interesting tidbits on the community, including the fact that the developer is still working on, quote, fully fledged single-player games, end quote, in a movie based in the Half-Life and Portal universe. Newell also said Valve is open to revisiting the shared Half-Life/Portal universe, but with a new intellectual property. One thing Newell didn't discuss, as is his wont, that makes no sense, was bizarre. The future of the Half-Life franchise, specifically Half-Life 2, Episode 3, and Half-Life 3. In fact, Newell joked that, quote, the number 3 must not be said, end quote, and implored fans not to read too much into the statements about past Half-Life games as predictors of the franchise futures. It's insane that Half-Life, it was supposed to be a trilogy, and yet Episode 3 has yet to be released.
Yeah, I know that pain all too well, but as you know.
He was also asked about the Left 4 Dead franchise, which I'm pretty interested in, because I love the original 2 games, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. He responded in a very vague response. Products are usually the result of an intersection of technology that we think has traction, a group of people who want to work on that, and one of the game properties that feels like a natural playground for that set of technology and design challenges. When we decided we needed to work on markets, free-to-play, and user-generated content, Team Fortress seemed like the right place to do that. That work ended up informing everything we did in the multiplayer space. Left 4 Dead is a good place for creating shared narratives. What the fuck kind of answer was that?
It's a very corporate answer. That's what that is. But I have a question here. So, have you ever played the Half-Life games? Because I actually never played them. It's kind of a little before my time. It was released, or at least Half-Life 2 was released in 2004. So, I was only 11 at the time, so I probably wouldn't be able to play it. Have you ever played those games?
That game is on the wall of shame, and I feel I can just hear a lot of people just pausing this podcast right now, deleting their subscription as I say this.
Yeah, I feel bad because like every now and then I'll be like on Instagram or something, I'll see these memes and it's like Half-Life 3, something to, joking about.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm like I feel like I completely missed out on something, and I just feel terrible about it. But I'm just so late to the party now. I feel like I can never get into the game. But anyway.
You can try to look to find the orange box on you, because you still have an original Xbox. Go out and find that. Go on eBay. You can find it.
True.
Moving on. Developer admits, quote, we screwed it, end quote, after game website exposes review blacklist threat by Wesley Yin Poole over at Eurogamer. The developer of a sci-fi horror shooter recently released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One has been caught out threatening games websites in a bid to avoid negative reviews. Badfly Interactive, which is based in the Czech Republic, released Dead Effect 2, which we did mention on our Tuesday episode. Just so you know, go back, listen to our thoughts on what the game was. Actually, it was 2. Moving on. On Xbox One, released Dead Effect 2 on Xbox One last week and on PS4 today. It launched on Steam in May of 2016. In promoting the game, CEO, co-founder, and creative director Lubomir Decast sent emails to game websites offering review code. As you expect of a developer trying to create exposure for their game, but what you wouldn't expect for those emails is to include a threat. Canadian video game website COG Connected brought the issue to light in an article posted this week. Here's an expert. Quote, Badfly creative director Lubomir Dicast sent a code via email with a note. It's not uncommon for small developers to mention their small teams and remind critics that they are not AAA houses. However, Dicast took things a step further, end quote. Let me just mention one thing, though. This is an indie game which, unfortunately, is very often compared with the big-budget games. And that's quite a problem and very much damage its reputation in final ratings. Please take into consideration the fact that this game was created by a small team of developers, parentheses 11, who just try to develop a good shooter game, and that's about it. Unfortunately, a number of journalists have other much bigger expectations from it, and that's very, very damaging for us eventually. So far, that email's good, right? What's the problem, you may be asking? It's the last line in that email that's the problem. He continues writing, also, we're working on several other games that are definitely interesting, and if your review or preview of Dead Effect 2 is very negative, you won't receive any keys from us in the future. Damn. That
escalated quickly.
Yeah. The threat which comes in the end of the note is clear. Give Dead Effect 2 a negative review, and Badfly will blacklist you. Author of the article, Sean Petrushuk, sent over the original email chain to Eurogamer, and it does indeed contain this threat outlined above. It wasn't long after COG Connected's article went live that a rep for Badfly got in touch with Petrushuk via email. We've seen this email also. In it, Badfly's Martin Pospisil admits, quote, we screwed it, end quote. Quote, the thing is, we care about our game so much. We are creating our dream, and we really want it to succeed. End quote. He says before insisting the company does not have a native English speaker. Quote, the point of our message was just to see us as what we are, a small indie studio. Shitstorm started, lesson learned, end quote. It does indeed sound like Badfly regrets the decision, or regrets the situation, which it admits is of its own making. But it has caused itself a headache by making a terrible first impression with many gamers. It's fair to say Badfly is a little-known studio, and Dead Effect isn't the most well-known of the video game franchise. I would imagine this is the first time many of us have heard, and it's not a good look. There's multiple mentions how their PR company got into it, and we're not very happy about it. Continue. What are your thoughts, Gary?
Well, I mean, if they care so much about their game, you'd think that they allow people to review it. Honestly, I mean, what's the point of threatening somebody, telling them that, oh, if you don't give our game a good review, we're going to blacklist you? Because if you care about your game, you want to hear what people think about it. If someone has a problem with it, I feel like any real game company would sit there and be like, oh, well, okay, and we don't really agree with this, but, you know, we appreciate your opinion. Or, oh, we didn't realize this. Thank you. We're going to fix it. Like, I think that's a valuable thing to any company.
I agree. I also don't get in the age of the internet that people still do this. It's in email, it's in writing, it's going to be there forever. And now I don't know. I feel like video game review websites should just, if this happens to them, I feel like they should just post it and put them on blast. To me.
Yeah, can we just say that the excuse that our studio doesn't have a native English speaker is a really shitty excuse, please?
Why do you say that, Gary?
So you're telling me that you write this email out and you don't realize you're threatening someone? I mean, come on. Seriously, in the email, Dead Effect 2 is, if your review or preview of Dead Effect 2 is very negative, you won't receive any keys from us in the future. You're telling me that's a mistake? Seriously? Come on.
Yeah. No comment. Moving on. A study breaks down the cheapest, most expensive places to buy game consoles. Cheryl Vasquez over at Game Informer writes. I thought that was kind of fascinating. It's kind of a short article, but it lists the study analyzed the two gaming consoles, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, across, quote, at least the 10 largest retailers in the country's 5 largest city, end quote. So we have the least expensive, or the cheapest for the price. Number one for PlayStation 4 is Hungary, coming in at $246, and number one for Xbox One is Switzerland at $222. That's somewhat cheap. You can read more about different places. I'm just reading the top one because the next one, the most expensive, is kind of insane. It's both of them are in Venezuela for PlayStation 4. For PlayStation 4 in Venezuela, it costs $56,723. And for the Xbox One, it costs $37,073. That seems pretty pricey.
A shitty economy and inflation will do it for you.
So, also by comparison, for all you U.S. folks, the U.S. ranks 13th on the PS4 rankings and 31st on the Xbox One list. Just so you know. But, I digress. Moving on! I'm moving on as soon as my laptop loads the article. Where's the author? Where's the author? Author, where are you? I can't.
And you made fun of me for not having my author before. It's not on the top.
That's the thing. When you see, you're supposed to put the author. You know what? It's by Cog Connected. Fun fact, that was tying it all back to the Dead Effect thing. I think that's it. Cog Connected. Rumor: Crash Bandicoot and Sane Trilogy set to release May 2017. According to an online listing, Sony plans to release the remastered Crash Bandicoot and Sane Trilogy in May. According to the rumor, Sony's long-awaited remastered title, Crash Bandicoot and Sane Trilogy, will be making its way to PlayStation 4 in May 2017. Although Sony has not announced an official date for when the vamped-up PS1 game will be making its way over to new-gen consoles, the Finnish online video game retailer VPD.fi has updated their website to include the trilogy, with the exact date being May 26. The bundle will include the classic Crash games Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, and Crash Bandicoot Warped, and is listed on the site for €59.99. What?
And on a positive front, I also hear this game's coming out for Nintendo Switch in May 2020.
Gary, I don't know if Crash is an exclusive anymore, but I feel like this will be an exclusive. So, but good joke, Gary. Everyone clap it up for Gary.
I'm glad
He's
to see
hilarious.
you appreciated it.
I'm pretty certain he was waiting for that all recording.
I actually thought of it on the fly. So congratulations.
Sure.
Yeah.
I call bullshit.
No, I thought of it.
I call bullshit.
You think I look at these articles ahead of time? Come on now.
Silly us. But onto our final article, because unfortunately we wanted to do the good golden cartridge thing, but unfortunately their website's down again. I'm sorry. I wanted to read it. There's probably plenty of good games over there, Ryan. But keep working on that website. When he gets back up, we'll read it. Pokemon Go earned $950 million in 2016. Connor Flynn over at Geeky Gadgets writes, when Pokemon Go was first released and became a success, some analysts predicted that Pokemon Go had the potential to earn $1 billion a year from in-app revenue, which is quite a lot. However, it looks like the game could have beaten the expectations of these analysts. According to a new report from App Annie, it looks like the game might have earned a staggering $950 million in 2016. The app was released in July, which means that in less than a year, the app was well on its way to reaching the 1 billion mark. At the rate things are going, it's possible that Pokemon Go will cross the 1 billion mark by July 2017, which would be the year mark. App Annie says, quote, by extracting millions of non-gamers, it reached a level of success that eludes even some of the most successful traditional video games. This was thanks to the game's beloved intellectual properties, simple mechanics, real-world augmented reality gameplay, and perhaps most of all, its social nature, end quote. However, paid players of the game are currently on the decline, probably because the updates made to the game haven't been very substantial. For instance, many players are still waiting for the ability to trade Pokemon with other players, as well as being able to battle friends and other players around them. They would do even better to give players what they want. Isn't that insane, Gary? It's almost to $1 billion.
It's actually just unbelievable. But I think this game is like the perfect example of like kind of like a buzz game, if that's the right term for it. But like it's that game that comes out that everybody plays, everybody jumps on, and then like eventually it just dies like a couple years later. And I think it's kind of going that path, to be honest.
Hey, if I'm that company, I am fine with that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If I'm
you're making
close
almost
to
$1 billion
in revenue from this app, I don't give a fuck how quick it dies down. Let's be real.
True. I think, sadly, a lot of game companies actually would feel the same exact way, even though we don't want to believe they would.
Especially in the mobile space. The mobile space is all trying about just getting that one big hit for like a short amount of time, and then make their money and then bounce. Pew! Yep,
indeed.
That was it. But that was the last of all the articles that we're going to read this week. Gary, do you think we're missing anything? Is there anything that we need to cover that we missed?
I think we need to get more into the Nintendo Switch.
More into it. Wow.
I think we only spoke for like 45 minutes on it. But
we need to get in there. Get real in there. But I don't know. I don't think there's much. But Gary, what do you plan on playing the rest of this week over the weekend? What are your goals for this weekend? Well,
like I said before on Twitter, actually maybe yesterday.
On the Twitter. At RealScavenger18. See, I know how to plug Gary's Twitter. He doesn't. Fuck you, Gary. I'm the best.
I don't need to plug it in because people know who I am. Just kidding. But but anyway, I've been looking at, like I said, on my radar is the Flame in the Flood. I really like that game. Just intrigued me as soon as I saw it. So maybe I'll take a look at it. But other than that, Battlefield 1, NHL 17 has kind of just been flip-flopping between those two games. Playing a lot with friends and everything. So. Actually, in addition, I'm actually going to be kind of going out this weekend, just enjoying going out with my family and stuff. So we're going to have a good time. So
nice.
Something else I'm doing.
Maybe after we're done recording this podcast, I'll I'll tweet from our account. Tweet at the Molasses Flood, the developers of the Flame in the Flood. That's what it's called?
Yes.
Tell you to give you a review copy. I know it'll work. Don't worry. It's
worked so many times
before.
Yeah.
Yeah. But since you're so curious as what I am going to do.
I'm not.
You? You're not at all? Well, I guess that's it for. Actually, I'll probably be playing some more Final Fantasy 15. No shocker there. I don't know. There's not many. I'm still waiting. It's like the lull before Horizon comes out and just takes all of my time, so I'm trying to get done Final Fantasy 15. I also want to finish up some games. I still need to finish Gears 4, which I haven't got back to because, it left a horrible first impression on me. But I still have a lot to play. But, I mean, if I wanted to pre-order the Switch, I can't even now because all the pre-orders are gone. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, yeah, that's a shocker. Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. But that has been episode 21. Thank you all for being here. I know you enjoyed our Switch coverage because if you're a fan of the Nintendo Switch and are excited for it, I am sorry that Gary spoke his mind because that probably pissed you off. Maybe not.
Oh, well.
Who knows? Maybe you have an
open
mind.
It.
I don't know. But again, thank you so much for being here. Please go follow us on Twitter at 2JerseyKids. Please tweet. Share us with your followers or your friends like Allison did today, in addition with the little slight comment, backhanded compliment of the podcast. But you know, I'm not bitter or anything. But yeah, please follow us on Twitter at 2JerseyKids. Please subscribe to us on the podcast service app that you use. And also, please review us on that app. Preferably if it's iTunes or the iTunes podcast app. That really helps with our standings. We would seriously love it. And don't forget you could check out our website, 2jerseykids.com, for that list of the games releasing this week if you're curious about the games releasing this week. And, you can email us at 2jerseykids@gmail.com if you want your questions to be answered, because we would love to answer questions. We're still almost there. Somebody is going to finally ask us a question beforehand. We don't have to go bug people. But, Gary, that has been episode 21. How you feeling about it?
I feel pretty dynamite. Pretty solid. But, as always, like I always say at the end of every single podcast episode, I love all you. It's actually been a lot of fun today. I've been talking to a lot more people than I usually do on Twitter. So,
Yay, Hey, Gary, social.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I'm finally here. So, like I said, it's been great recording this episode. Looking forward to the next one as always. So, catch y'all later.
All right,
Peace
y'all.
out.
Gary said it perfectly. We love you all so much. We appreciate every listener. Thank you again for being here. Keep on playing those games. Bye.